Hi, I'm Shamar Griffith, codename Comic Shams.
And I'm Andrew Tejada, codename Arate.
I'm a blurred with a love for artwork and comics and animation.
And I'm a writer in Blurred with a love for pretty much the same things.
We grew up together and spent much of our formative years watching and talking about DC superhero shows and content. In fact, we still do.
Every episode, we will discuss a DC production, compare it to its original source material, and share our thoughts on the adaptation.
We've enjoyed our conversations these past couple of decades, and we think you will too.
This season, we're looking at 16 years of DC animated movies to see which stories are sweet and which ones are sour on
yet another DC animated podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. Welcome to yet another episode of yet another DC animated podcast. My name is Shamar Griffith, codename Comic Shams.
And I am Andrew Tejada, codename Arate.
Andrew and I have known each other since 1996.
That was the year Dunstan Checks In, the movie, dropped on movie theaters, VHS, I think, at the same time. I don't know. I forget how the release works.
Ooh, it's a good thing you weren't talking about Gordy.
No, God, not Gordy. No, this chimp was just a jewel thief that tried to steal jewels at a hotel, but meets a boy with a dog and decides to change his evil ways.
Isn't that the plot of the Wayans Brothers Little Man movie?
I think so, and I think it's the plot of about 50 other movies.
Got it. I guess Air Bud is the only one that was on the straight and narrow from the very beginning, but
he's got those endorsements. He can't risk that.
Oh man, but we are talking about so many pets because we bit the bullet. We decided yet another DC animated podcast, went to the movies, and we saw DC's League of Super Pets.
Yeah, this is we don't know when the next time it'll be a DC animated film will get a wide release like this. So, we gotta pounce on it while the opportunity's there. It's not like we're gonna get it. Marvel has El Muerto and Spider-Verse 2 and Amazing Spider-Verse coming out soon, I'm sure. But DC, we gotta take advantage of these rare opportunities.
So with DC League of Super Pets, first off, just gonna set the scene real quick. We bought tickets for this, and at the time we bought the tickets, we were the only ones that had bought tickets for this movie.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a fight to get into the theaters.
Yeah, no. But when we got there were people there, families and whatnot. So I would say that people are actually going to go see this movie, and we're going to talk about the movie that had a runtime of 105 minutes, which I feel like is pretty long for a kid's movie, unless I'm just getting old.
No, that's pretty like 90 minutes is pretty typical. Okay. Or less, because animation's
that too. Yeah, it just seemed like it was longer than 90 minutes. I was just like, hold on now, this is they put in time in this. They put in effort. They're like dedicated to the story, exposition. But we got Jared Stern directing this film. This is the second animated feature of DC's Super Pets in some way, shape, or form. It's been released. First core memory of mine is Crypto the Superdog, the 2005 animated series. It used to air on the WB on Saturday mornings. The main plot of our film is that man's best friend is worried about losing his best friend, so he teams up with a ragtag team of pets that no one else wants. And this cast is just so star-studded that's, you know what? I'm going to try to go through it really fast, like that turtle fast, actually. So we got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson voicing Crypto, Kevin Hart voices Ace, Kate McKinnon as Lulu, John Krasinski as Superman, Vanessa Bayer as PB the Potbelly Pig, Natasha Lyonne as Merton the Turtle, Diego Luna as Chip, Thomas Middleditch and Ben Schwartz are voicing some guinea pigs. You'll know Ben Schwartz as Sonic the Hedgehog. The good one, not the crazy looking one that we saw in like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers and also the free stuff. Keanu Reeves is Batman, Mark Maron is Lex, Olivia Wilde is Lois, Jamila Jamil before being Titana and She-Hulk voices Wonder Woman here. I think it's a really great choice, to be honest. Jermaine Clement is Aquaman, John Early is The Flash, Daveed Diggs Dasha Polanco of Cyborg, and Jessica Cruz, Green Lantern. And then wrapping up the list, we got Keith David, Maya Erskine, Yvette Nicole Brown, Alfred Molina, and finally, we were talking about this person very recently because of Thor: Love and Thunder, Lena Headey.
Stacked.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely ridiculously stacked. And
yeah, they were like, we're pulling everybody in for this DC movie, not putting it into live action anymore.
hey, you know what? If you can get that many like star-studded people in one place for an animated movie, I'm down.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, now that we got everything for the film, we're going to do a quick one this time around, just because it is still a relatively new film, and just we're going to talk about more so our experience watching it, and then we'll dedicate about maybe 10 minutes of just non-spoiler reviews of it, and then the last 10 minutes for anybody who's truly interested after hearing our review. We'll talk about that, so you can just pause at that 10-minute mark and then go watch the movie and then come on back to listen to us.
Yeah. So yeah, like we said, the plot basically, the emotional journey here is that Crypto has been Superman's dog for so long. Now with Lois coming into the mix, he is becoming more anxious that he will no longer be that one anchor Clark has and trusts to be around. And at the same time, we have these animals that get superpowers from Orange Kryptonite. They all get out of the shelter. One of them is evil. So the Crypto has to team up with the other pets to take down the one evil guinea pig, Lulu, because at the time, Lulu had found a way to incapacitate Superman. So, and for that matter, some other heroes too. So now it is entirely up to the pets to figure out what their abilities are, how to use them, and get Superman and of the others' safety.
Yeah, and it is a full Justice League affair. Like, everybody does get captured. It is heavily focusing on the pets and Crypto learning what it's like to have friends, because he kind of treated his relationship with Superman like the stereotypical, like, he's my person, therefore he can't be friends with anybody else, and I can't be friends with anybody else. And that's the running story arc of it, where it's just like Crypto just needs to find friends, and you could tell that Superman's like really worried about this. It does make for sometimes like great visual gags, I think, because there's a lot of moments in which Superman's even talking with Lois, and he's trying to like bond with her, connect with her. He doesn't want Crypto in the way. And also, the animals talk in this universe, but only talk to each other. So that is why they're not really communicating with their human counterparts in any way, shape, or form. So Superman's trying to do like the more of the social cues to get Crypto to go away. And then there's just like randomly at times other dogs and pets who are explaining the situation. And this is just causes the anxiety that Crypto is just feeling. And I think this is a fun little moment just because you get a chance to see The Rock kind of like dial it down a bit from being the super macho guy jumping from skyscraper to skyscraper or flying helicopters and all that shit to, oh, sorry, I realize this is a kid's version of the film now, so all that crap. So he's like now leaning into this more like friendly guy. Like, he's always a friendly guy, but it's just like really friendly persona. And teaming up with like Kevin Hart, I think it's just like their typical dynamic of they really bounce well off of each other. And we see that a lot between Crypto and Ace, who are, in some way like friends, reluctant friends that eventually become best friends, because they're also running thing too. It's like Ace is teaching Crypto what is it like to be a dog and not just like a super dog.
Yeah, like Crypto legitimately has more saves than Superman in the DCEU. Like he's out here saving lives every day. So him adjusting to hanging out with normal dogs and less exceptional people is a big adjustment for him. So yeah, that's the crux of the plot, and I think it's kind of a fairly typical kind of animal story kind of thing, or a Boss Baby-esque very story, if you
Yeah.
will. But I think what really makes this average kind of setup really great is it's honestly the humor in this movie. We go into it knowing there'll probably be a few gags at the heroes, there'll probably be some moments of comedy, but there are legitimate deep 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 cuts that I was not expecting. For example, there's a moment where Ace and Crypto meet, and Ace quickly realizes this is no regular dog. He tries to move Crypto and nothing works. So Ace fakes a heart attack. And I'm like, are y'all doing a Dark Knight Returns Part 2 reference where Batman fakes a heart attack in front of Superman to get him off his, like, how? What are you doing? This is crazy.
I think that, along with there's also another small joke about just like the history of Superman not being picked up on the fact that Clark is Superman, where there's a moment in which when Ace meets Crypto for the first time, he sees, so this is in the trailer, so it's not so much of a spoiler, but Crypto does wear glasses in his identity, his secret identity as Bark Kent. And during this point, he's talking with Ace, who is, for their first encounter. And Ace mentions something that triggers Crypto to the point where he feels like he needs to jump into super dog mode. And as he does so, Ace is like, come on, man, I know you're the same dog. And he's like, what? I am not the same dog at all. He's just like, you literally look like the same dog. Like, just because you took off your glasses doesn't mean anything.
Mythology gags are great. They definitely go as far as they can. There's this one, the turtle character is constantly cursing, and that may sound like we're joking, but no, they beep her out multiple times, and there's no commentary on it. She just curses, and that's the thing. She curses and she hits on pretty much every object she sees, and that's just her character.
And it's they're all great scenes dealing with this person, with the turtles cursing, because as we were in the theater, the kids were, I think some kids got it, like older kids got the fact that like the beep means it's a curse, but parents were dying. We were laughing, like we were definitely not the only ones laughing in this theater, because there were some, again, just like her cursing, I think was just so wild and unexpected that we were like, okay, DC clearly doesn't care anymore. We're gonna add a cursing turtle, because honestly, I want a movie with her now, just running through things and cursing.
That just like the flash of it just runs by. What the is going on over here? And then runs away. And in terms of vocal work, I think everyone does a stellar job here. I think Jamila Jamil playing one of the most jacked Wonder Women we have ever seen. She is the second most jacked individual. We won't want to reveal the first one, but that's a surprise. Best save for the movie, but she's an easy second. Her arms are huge, and
I remember we were sitting there and being like, "Damn,
there it is, the most jacked." But everyone's having a ball. I think definitely you got to give a shout out to Kate McKinnon playing her second DC villain, second animal themed DC villain, with her performance as Lulu the guinea pig, who has a very interesting backstory and connection to Lex that drives a lot of the plot forward. And I did like what they did with her, because it was an interesting angle to go about it. It's not just as simple as Lex happened to have a guinea pig that happened to want to be evil. They go deeper into some psychology, and it's very interesting to see what impression she takes from her owner and why she is willing to straight up kill the Justice League.
Yeah, I also agree. The voice work is amazing. Kate McKinnon really killed it. I think that a lot of her scenes, I was surprisingly on the edge of my seat. Um, Also, I think that for in terms of the super pets, they were also was like a great dynamic between everybody as well. That whole team was great. Like we know that The Rock and Kevin Hart were going to have a great dynamic, and it's just because they've been in so many movies together, they tour and all that stuff together. But then we had Vanessa Byers, the Potbelly Pig, who has some really surprisingly great lines in terms of just like recognizing her own self-worth as, you know, granted it's a big pig, like
Yeah.
a pig who again from the trailer we know that she is able to change her shape and size. So I think there was like a lot of tie-in dealing with like body awareness a little bit there. But I think for me the some of the best voice acting came from Diego Luna, which I was super surprised about because you don't really like, you kind of pick up on his voice in Chip the squirrel, which also I'm wondering like why was a squirrel a pet? Like I don't think that's normally how that works. But he has this like really great arc about basically anxiety issues, which is wild. And I did love the fact that we got a chance to see his character grow and his own hearing his own dialogue, understanding fear and eventually how that turned him from being the scared squirrel to somebody that wants to stand up and defend his friends and save the world and save also the Justice League.
Yeah, everyone really gets some nice development, even the turtle. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, they lean heavily on Ace's development and his relationship with Crypto. And again, we don't want to give away everything, but Ace has an amazing and dark backstory that um it won't it won't measure up to the pearls exactly, in Crime Alley, but it definitely makes sense as to why his character is that way. It's very, very sad, very like Pixar-esque
Mhm.
circumstances that drive him and explain why he is how he is. And yeah, his whole character is based on giving other people hope. Ironically, he's saying all these animals, you'll get into a farm one day, we'll have an enjoyable time. So he's trying to hold it together while carrying all this internal darkness, which is real deep for a kids
Yeah.
movie. And it really works. Um, I'll also say again, going back to the comic book and gags, look at every frame in this movie carefully because there are so many hidden jokes.
Mhm.
One was a news headline that goes, "Wealthy person actually goes to jail," when uh, you can guess who got arrested at some point. And Lois Lane has a show called Pick a Lane. There's like so much crammed into the background. Every frame of this movie um, is good. It with filled with detail, and the animation is clean. It's crisp. It's very it's pretty much standard, what you expect standard from a kids movie nowadays that has
Mhm.
like a decent budget. But the fun thing about it is that since we're in this superpowered world, you can really feel everyone's having like fun knocking Crypto through buildings and
Yeah.
throwing Ace the Bat Hound through a wall. It's kind of a nice mix of something you don't usually see with this level of animation.
Mhm. And also, you know, I keep stressing this a lot too. Is like I agree with you 100%. But the other thing too is like, um, as we get older, we're told to pull away from cartoons and animation. Like we gotta lean into the dramatized stuff. And here it is that we were able to include, as you were mentioning, Ace's backstory. It was just like that was deep. That was like it really tied in well with his character, his motivations, all that. And the other part of it too is just like that I was thinking of is just like we're told to pull away from this stuff, yet this stuff is catching up to us. Um, there are so many times where it's just like there are some good jokes for the adults in every single animated show. Like it doesn't have to be where in the past it was just like the adults have to get it because so we have to make it like a hidden meaning, whether it be like a dark funny thing we can make fun of, or like just like dark comedy in a way. This time around they really heavily leaned into all the canon stuff, like you're mentioning, all the little Easter eggs. Some of the dialogue itself is just like, we're not even just talking about DC history. There are mentions where it's like even like Marvel connections come up. There are mentions about the storytelling within superheroes and all that kind of stuff. Like there's at one moment that I was just like, yeah, y'all definitely are making fun of this one particular hero right now. Like, and it's not a DC hero. So I think that's where it's just like, they know, once again, the writers, the producers, they know that kids are probably going to drag their parents to this. And this was a good time, because if you are a super parent in any way, shape, or form, you're going to enjoy this film. Because me not even having kids, and I'm into the DC stuff, but I enjoyed this film. And it was like not even just because of all the references, it's because of the way the storytelling was going and how they like connected with me in little ways, shapes, and forms of like, here's this Easter egg, here's this comment, where it's just like, if you know kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they just hit the nail on the head when it came to this one, because of the fact they knew that, like, we got the stars of the cast. We want to make sure it's fun and entertaining for both kids and adults, and for anybody like us who is like dedicated to the DC animation world.
Now we will do a few spoilers. We'll put in the timestamp. We'll edit that in very seamlessly about later, about where you can skip before. So if you just want to hear our rating, we'll give you the timestamp to do that. But yeah, let's get into some spoiler sections. The gag with the superpowered guinea pigs is probably one of the best of the movie. Just the thought of, like, we got the Fantastic Four of guinea pigs plus a few extra that stay throughout the movie and have like a crisis of conscience near the end.
I think this is just some of my favorite things, because I wasn't expecting them to lean into like Lulu's army is going to be a band of guinea pigs who also one our most Jack character does fall into this band of this legion of pigs. I don't know what to call them. But yeah, it's just hilarious to see, and the fact that they even also get a chance to have some dialogue. As I mentioned, we had Thomas Middleditch and Ben Schwartz. These two guys, I think they have also a improv show in which they just like really riff off of each other and have an opportunity to do that again, but now as guinea pigs. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of these lines weren't even scripted for them. They were just like, here's the script, do whatever you want.
Yeah, the fire and ice. Well, fire and water by the end of the
fire
movie.
And water, yeah.
Wait, are they supposed to be what is the pair of heroes? Oh, fire! It is fire.
Oh yeah, fire and ice. Yeah. Oh yeah. Crap. Yeah.
Is that a fire and ice reference?
Yep. Didn't even realize that. Yep. Eventually, the only reason why I think I didn't think about that is like they eventually do get adopted. A lot in the end of the movie, all the pets do get adopted, and they get adopted by Cyborg and Aquaman respectively. So
yeah, that the Aquaman makes more sense than Cyborg.
Yeah, I was confused about that one. I was just like, there are definitely other heroes like pulling Firestorm, but you know what? We had Cyborg with his half afro.
Oh my god, Firestorm would have been perfect. This is random, but the Keith David as Dog L.
Yes.
What? It's like, can you do this more?
Yes, I need more Dog L. Like, I was not expecting Keith David to pop up in this movie. So Dog L isn't canon to the comics, but Crypto does have a father. I think I was looking this up recently. It was like, it's like Ditto or Ripto is like his like parents' name. They actually tracked it back to his great grandfather.
Oh.
And they all have a very similar name to Crypto. It's just like changing around the first letter or so. But it never has ever been, as far as I can tell, Dog L. But honestly, I need Dog L to be canon.
Yeah. There's a lot of. And speaking of canon, I I did love their approach to the escape from Krypton.
Mm-hmm.
That Crypto tasked himself with taking care of Clark um, as they got sent away in the rocket together. Um, and luckily, he didn't end up in the Phantom Zone for 12 years. No one just questions why his dog has lived for over 30 years.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I as soon as this moment happened, I was just like, canon ruined. But it honestly makes way more sense because a lot of the times it was always like a lot of the super family members, I'm talking about Supergirl and Crypto as well, they just popped up later in Clark's life. Like they were found somewhere else. And to have it be that Clark had an opportunity to grow up with Crypto makes way more sense. Because I was thinking that they were going to go the route of the old television series where Crypto again gets stuck in the Phantom Zone in some way, shape, or form. And then once he's released, time has passed. Superman has already been actualized. So he ends up meeting this kid who, and then during their journey, they're like trying to find his owner. And then this is when Crypto smells Superman for the first time and realizes that it's his boy. So to have it now that like Superman grows up with Crypto, it makes more sense in the storytelling for Crypto and why he's so attached to Superman.
Yeah, yeah. This is much more seamless than oh, you smell good. In terms of power scaling, this movie will either make you, if you're a fan of like figuring that kind of stuff out, you will either laugh or tear your hair out because the power scaling in this movie is insane. Like Crypto dodges lightning when he has no superpowers, which I'm like, what is your reaction time that crazy? Lulu one shots the Justice League, like
bro. I still can't and whoop Superman. Like she pulled a Metallo. We've been talking about Metallo giving Superman L's. She shoots Superman with kryptonite.
and like is able to go toe to toe with him in a battle. And then once she reaches her kaiju form, is just destroying everybody at once. Yeah. And I do like, and I love when as a mini part of the defeat when Cyborg is put on airplane mode.
Oh yes.
That's just beautiful.
Oh my gosh. I will share that I think there were just like really just one issue that I think people will have with this movie, and this is really just for comic book Green Lantern fans. So we do mention that there is Chip the Squirrel. He has the power over electricity, but his main story arc is that he ends up like, he has this moments of feeling so afraid of the world, and he's in his head a lot. He's like, you can see him go through his anxiety attacks during the entire film. Eventually he does end up one, he straightens out his eyes. I think that was a visual gag that I just loved. And the other part of it too is that when he finally steps up, he gets saved by Green Lantern, and the two of them bond, leading into Chip becoming Jessica Cruz Green Lantern's pet. And he gets his own ring and Green Lantern suit. So for DC comic fans, I'm pretty sure that some of them are going to be upset over the fact that, Chip the Squirrel, who is an actual Green Lantern, gets downgraded a bit here to just being a super pet with not having the same powers as his comic book counterpart.
Yeah, I guess it's equivalent of like you have Peter Parker in a Spider-Man movie, but he's just a dude who works at Starbucks.
Right. Yeah, but they I mean, I liked it. I like the change a little bit, because the other part of it too, this is like, at first I was a little upset, and I was like, you know what, this is a different world. It's still a little weird that we have a squirrel as a pet, but you know what, we have a squirrel as a pet, therefore we can change the story up a bit.
Yeah, valid, whatever. It does serve the plot well to have him, even though like a squirrel and adoption agency is also really crazy when you think about it.
Yes.
Like, who the hell is adopting a squirrel? They're not domesticated. But I was just gonna ask, what is your favorite joke of the movie?
Oh, my gosh, this was my favorite joke of all time. So at the end of the film, Lulu's been defeated. The super dog pulls off this solar paw punch, which honestly is a Dragon Ball Z move now that I'm thinking about it.
That's super Dragon Fist right there.
Right, exactly. So at the end of the film, all the pets are teaming up with a different Justice League member as they start to get adopted by them. Ace and Batman get the chance to start talking, and I think what was it? Batman starts telling him that, like, you know, he doesn't want a dog. He needs to. He's a lone hero. He works by himself, except for the Bat family, which includes Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, Batgirl. And the entire fight is the entire conversation is everywhere, still going on, and Batman is still listing out this list of the people he teams up with. And he even says, even that one guy that Morgan Freeman played. And we're like, I'm sorry, did you just reference a random Dark Knight in another film? And it was made sense.
So Dark Knight is canon in this universe,
right?
Yeah.
Or right, like, is it a movie, the TV show, or did it actually happen for him?
I think he watched it. I would think he went to the theaters and watched Dark Knight. Keanu Bruce.
This is not even our Bruce Wayne. This is just like, this dude is just like a random dude, changed his name to Bruce Wayne and started creating a new backstory for himself. What about you? What was your favorite joke?
As much as I did like when at the end, near the end when the top of Lex's office takes off as a rocket, and they go, all billionaires have rockets on the top floor of their office, and Batman's like, yeah, it's true. But I think their best joke was the little kitten that they turned into Freddy Krueger, and they have them going like 1, 2 coming for you after the super pets. And this kitten's also very willing to kill them with his furball grenades and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just a little moment where he goes, super pets, come out and play. I'm like, y'all put in a Warriors Freddy Krueger reference. Come on now. This is
amazing. And made it work.
Yeah, and it worked. That cat was definitely going to kill them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that cat, what's his name? Whiskers, I think it was. Yeah, don't give your cats like missiles. Like, this cat was shooting out missiles from his tail, his whisker. Wait, I forgot about this one. This cat was able to cough up fur balls that were grenades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been more afraid of cats since that day.
Yeah, that's another skill you didn't know. Cats know this one crazy trick. And before we give our rating, we have to talk about the live action / animated crossover ? Because in the post-credit scene, Black Adam shows up with his dog, and Black Adam's dog is also voiced by The Rock talking to Crypto, and just emphasizing he's going to be an anti-hero. So is this the opener? Is this going to be the crisis on Infinite Pets? Is this where it starts?
I have no doubt about it. I honestly believe this was some of the greatest. The fact that The Rock came through into the DC universe and just like, he was like, you know what? I'm going to voice 3 characters in your entire universe. So you're going to just have to be fine with it. I loved it. It was also a visually cool scene too, because like they animated Black Adam to look exactly like how The Rock is supposed to look. But the thing is that you don't see his face; you only see the back of his head. And I don't really know what Black Adam's dog's name would be. I'm assuming we're just gonna go with what was it? I guess Black Dog. I don't know.
Black Lightning's taken.
Yeah, Black. Yeah, and I loved this whole entire scene. There are 2 post-credit scenes, so definitely stick around to the entire end. But this is the last one, and that dialogue in between the 2 of them is just like, what's the difference between an anti-hero and a villain? It really does open up the door. Just like, we really do need to reassess this, because their conversation made sense, and just the voice work and like showing that like Crypto versus Black Dog here, as they were like talking it through, it shows that how versatile The Rock is trying to become with being a voice actor. Now, it definitely did sound exactly the same, but I think the inflection of the tone created a more menacing dog here for our black dog here.
Yeah. And it will also be wild if for the live action Black Adam movie, he actually does turn out to be, because it's questionable whether he's going to be a straight out villain or not. So if he does turn out to be an anti-hero, we can go back and say Super Pets called it first.
Yep. Right before Crisis on Infinite Pets. Yes. If that's not the second film, if that is not the
Super Pets, I need that. Crisis on Infinite Pets.
Oh man, but yeah, this for me is it was such a fun movie. So I guess now it's time for the rating. But before we do so, we need to talk about another podcast that you should be listening to from the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Do you like beer?
Do you like podcasts?
Do you like beer podcasts?
Then check out Crackin' One Open, a podcast about brews, news, and pop culture reviews.
Every week, we crack open a new craft beer from breweries around the country.
And sometimes the world.
We'll talk about how it was made, what's in it, the history of the brew, and the brewery.
Then we'll give our tasting notes, and while we're finishing up, we'll talk about some of the latest goings-on in the world of pop culture.
So check out Crackin' One Open with Mike and Elise, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
DC League of Super Pets. We saw it in theaters. We were some of the first people to buy our tickets for that particular showing. And we saw that it almost packed the theater, or rather packed up half of the theater or a quarter of the theater. But what are you giving DC League of Super Pets?
I'm going to say, and keep in mind, in terms of scaling, for animated superhero movies, Spider-Verse is 100 out of 10. Just to keep that in scale before I say my answer. But I think Super Pets is honestly, I'll be so bold to give it an 8 out of 10. I think you definitely get what they promise you, which is all these Super Pets doing quirky things, but the amount of deep cuts, the commitments to backstory, the love you can tell the writers had for the franchise and as a whole, and really wanting to tell a really decent, coherent story. Because no exaggeration, this movie was more coherent and emotionally sound and had more development than some of the full-length DC animated movies we've seen, which is absolutely bonkers. You know, it's like, how is this more coherent than what was it, Throne of Atlantis?
Oh yeah.
Like,
or Wonder Woman Bloodlines.
Yeah, I was like, I was trying not to pick on Wonder Woman Bloodlines again today, but yeah, this is like more coherent, more development than Throne of Atlantis, and a better Aquaman. I think, yes, if it will rely, there are a few jokes just for kids and that are like skewing towards kids, and then it's not going to reinvent the wheel. But I do think if you are a DC fan and you go and check this out, you're going to really have a great time for the gags, for the characters. And surprisingly, I would not mind seeing these characters again, doing something, like we said, Crisis on Infinite Pets. I would be there for this. So yeah, that's where I am. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to also scale this as well. For me, Teen Titans Go to the Movies is a 10 out of 10 animated DC production. This here is a strong 8.5, bordering 9 for me. I think, it's not only the voice acting was great, surprisingly, because of the fact that it's just like, I typically don't necessarily like the idea sometimes when we get big name actors that probably have never done voice work really to do an animated film, because sometimes it's just the same actor's voice saying things. There's nothing really big about that. Like sometimes it does take like a finesse of somebody who's probably been working in a long time, but the dynamic between everybody and all that is strong. And that's why I do appreciate the fact that they really heavily leaned into the storytelling, the the scenarios, and I think that is what brought it up for me, especially because going into this film was already delayed a couple times, so, like a lot of DC films. It was just like, no, I kept thinking no one's going to care about this. No one. It's a movie with like top bill people that you're just trying to make money off of. But honestly, this movie deserves more money than it probably will make, unfortunately. So it's a leaning in 8.5, leaning into 9. And the other part of it too is just like, again, you will have fun. I don't think there's going to be a person who will go into this movie and hate, unless you like absolutely hate animated films and you don't give this movie a chance at all. That's the only reason why I can see why you will hate this movie. They heavily lean into just so many different aspects. It's not just a superhero story. It's also just a story about friendships, how to build them. And there's also like pet owners, I feel, will also like this, because yes, it does paint cats in a very evil way, but we'll be honest. So like dog owners are probably going to love this. Cat owners are probably going to be like, I can see some of the stuff that you're trying to do, but either way, I think this is a strong addition to the DC animated world. I do want to see some continuation of it. Like at the end of it, I was just like, damn, like it's probably not going to happen, but like if they do another movie, most of the time when we get movies like this, it immediately leads into an animated series spinoff. So if that happens, that is great. I'm actually kind of looking out to see if that actually does happen. Like, eventually the characters' voices will change because of the fact that we can't have the Rock voice Crypto the Superdog the entire time, though I'm pretty sure they'd be open to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this is going to be a great addition. I hope that it doesn't end here, or at least we get some kind of like animated series, because I mean they did it with Baymax for the Disney Plus show, and I think that we're getting an understanding now that like some of these characters in these animated films don't necessarily need to have a film to tell the rest of their stories. It could be that we get just like these little random series that come up, even if it lasts a season. I'm not saying it's going to be great, but I think you'll still be entertaining. And if this movie is anything, this movie was just absolutely entertaining. So go see it, have fun, grab that big popcorn, because you're going to love every moment of it. And definitely, as Andrew, you were mentioning, keep an eye out on every single scene, because there's so many random Easter eggs, which I love about these like kids animated superhero films.
Yeah. And I would definitely, if you want to see more fun, lighthearted DC products, you got to go support this one. You can't just say you want them and don't support this. You got to go and support this and give it a shot, because in the sequel, I want to see the following 3 animals interact with super pets. I want Joker's hyenas. I think that's just an easy layup. I want to see Bane have a chihuahua that's on Venom and will like pump itself up and to get more jacked. And then last but certainly not least, I want either Killer Croc, Cheeto, or somebody to like be able to talk to the animals just very casually.
Yes,
because they're so animal adjacent, and the pets are like, wait a minute, aren't you like human? And they're like, not really. And then I kind of join the super pets. Like Killer Croc as a main villain with like all these other pets. I'd watch it. I'd watch the movie.
I'd watch that. Legion of Evil. Was it the Legion of Doomed Pets?
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, that could get sad.
Yeah, they're actually going to the farm. But yeah, I also want to see some more of the super pets. There are a couple more actually that I that I found out about. So one thing that they were actually planning for this film was they were going to introduce Aquaman's pet, which is Topo, the octopus.
Oh, right. Played the drum in Aquaman.
Yep. They were going to introduce him. Unfortunately, it just got too much, and I guess it's probably because a lot of the movie didn't happen in any kind of water. So I feel like it probably Topo would have been Dunzo. We also got Streaky, the Super Cats, as well as Superman actually has a bunch of other pets. Like there's a horse. There's a horse that has a cape. And finally, Batman has 2 more pets. One is Titus, which is a dog that we actually got introduced to in the DC animated universe. It's the dog that Damian Wayne had that he got as a gift from, I think it was from Raven at the end of Justice League versus Teen Titans. It's the one that where he was sitting next to Damian when Damian was shaming Bruce for his relationship with Catwoman at the time, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And the other one, because surprisingly we do have a WTF moment in comics, there's Batcow.
The lactose of justice. he's evil intolerant.
Evil intolerant. I love it. So if we ever get for the sequel that farm upstate, we could have an appearance of Batcow, and I'm with it. I'm 100% for it. So yes, I agree to echo what you were saying. If you want your lighthearted DC stuff, please support this film. It is way better than we thought it was going to be after getting delayed so often, and does set up for The Rock to, I guess, introduce the next DC film, Black Adam, which currently is coming out October of 2022. We will see if there's any more additional delays. So fingers crossed that happens. But yeah, that is DC League of Super Pets out in theaters currently now, or whenever you listen to this, available for purchase or view streaming. Until you get a chance to watch it, take care of yourselves and remember that, pets need love as well as humans need love, because otherwise Batman has to go to therapy.
Yes. And if you see a jacked guinea pig coming towards you, just give it what it wants.
Yeah.
Don't try to fight it. You've already lost.
Right.